Hi everybody, welcome back to another Books and Looks video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are new here, I'm Jen. Hi, thanks for coming. And I love books and I love makeup, so I put them together and I have a Books and Looks video channel where I put on my makeup for the day, play with makeup while I talk about a book that I have recently read. If you are a returning watcher, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate so much that you watch my videos. I hope you find them entertaining. And as always, like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you down below and tell me what you think of my videos. Give me book recommendations, look recommendations. Tell me what you think of the book if you've read it. I love to hear from you. It's like one of my favorite things when I get comments. So thank you for watching. So I guess let's dive right in and talk about this week's-ish book. I recently finished reading a book called 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson, and I don't have a copy. I let one of my students borrow it, so I will just do it right here. 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson, and it is a book in a series, sort of. It's a standalone book, but the characters are all part of an existing series. And the first set is a trilogy, and excuse me, the first book is a trilogy, and it involves Stevie. She's our main character. She's the protagonist. She's our main character. And Stevie Belle is kind of like a little genius, a prodigy when it comes to like murder mysteries and things of that nature. She's like a little Sherlock Holmes prodigy. She's 17, and in the first trilogy, she gets accepted to this special school in Vermont that it only lets like certain people in. Like they have to have some sort of special skill or interest or something, and she gets in because of her detective skills, because of the school. And this isn't 9 Liars, this is just a little background. The school had a murder take place. The guy who created the school, his wife and daughter were kidnapped and murdered, and it was never solved. So she says, if I can come to this school, I would like that to be like my project. I want to solve this murder. And of course, over the course of the trilogy, she solves the murder. But in the meantime, there are like new murders as she's investigating and like figuring stuff out, and she cracks the cold case and has like new leads and whatnot. Some students disappear and get murdered, and things happen. So obviously this trilogy, it was really good. I loved it. She solves it, and she proves herself this is the course over her junior year. She proves herself very capable. So then there's another standalone book where she goes to like a summer camp where, again, there was a cold case murder from decades ago that the owner of the camp actually writes to her and says, listen, I'll give you a job here for the summer. If you can investigate this, I've like been obsessed with it myself, and I can't solve it, and I know you're good, blah, blah, blah. So of course she goes to the camp, and he says, all your friends can work here too. I need employees anyway. So like the whole group of friends from the trilogy all come to the summer camp, of course, because that happens, right? Oh, hey, I'm an adult, I own a camp, and I know this teenager who can solve crime, so I'm going to invite her and all her friends to work at my camp. But we can suspend reality for a second because it made for a good story. She and her friends go to the camp, and they solve the murder, and it was really cool. It was very enjoyable. I love Maureen Johnson's writing style. I love the pacing of her books. I love her character development. The characters are fairly flat, and fairly, well, I wouldn't say they're static. They do actually like change and grow over the course of the story, but they're pretty flat. They're kind of stock. Like she has her best friend who's like an introvert. She has her boyfriend who's like the bad boy. She has her other best friend who's like artsy fartsy and whatever. But I digress. Let me tell you about this book, 9 Liars. So here we are. She's in her senior year, and her boyfriend, David, who's a year older than her, has gone off to London to study abroad for college, right? So she misses him terribly. She's trying to survive her senior year at this place where she solved the murder at this special school in Vermont. And David, her boyfriend, is like, I miss you. Like, why don't you come here for like a week? because he's like rich and has connections and stuff, of course, he is able to get her a temporary stay at like his school for like a study abroad for a week. So he gets her and of course again all her friends, because that's plausible. Totally happens all the time, right? Your boyfriend goes to school in London and then gets you like a trip to London that hardly costs you anything. That happens all the time. Anyway, so the point is she and her friends all go to London for this week-long study abroad. They're going to do like all the traditional tourist stuff and visit all these, amazing places to, explore London, and she gets to see her boyfriend, right? What could go wrong? Well, as soon as they arrive, you meet one of David's good friends from London. Her name's Izzy. And she says, I heard you're really good at solving crimes. I have one for you. And then through flashbacks throughout the course of the book, like you read the present day, Stevie and her friends in London, blah, blah, blah. And then there's flashbacks. So there's a cold case that took place in London, and it was in 1995. And there were these 9 college students they called themselves the 9, and they were all like actors and writers and stuff. And so it was their senior year. They like lived together, and they were about to all go their separate ways because like, oh, I forgot to do my brow. That's okay. They were all about to like graduate and go their separate ways. So they decided to have this one last hurrah, because the one guy in their circle happened to be like a count or a lord or something, and he had like this big country estate out in the country of outside London. So they would go there regularly, but for their senior year they go on this last hurrah. I got it. They go on this last hurrah, and they go to his country estate, and they're gonna have like this big week-long party, just the 9 of them in this giant house. And so far so good. They show up, and they have an annual tradition where they play hide and seek over the course of the entire property. So like 9 people, they're playing hide and seek, and it's, sounds fun, honestly. Well, they are able to find everybody except 2 people, okay? And the 2 people are Rosie and Noel. They can't find them. So like they're just like, whatever, they'll come inside when they get cold, whatever. So they go about their lives, they drink, they party, and then the next morning they're still like Rosie and Noel are missing. And then they finally go look for them, and they find them. They had been murdered in the woodshed on the property, and like they can't figure out what happened. Like at one point the power went out last night, and like everybody was accounted for the most part, except during the hide and seek game. Like when people were hiding, nobody knew who anybody else was for like an hour and a half, 2 hours while they were looking for each other over this huge property. So the police come, and they determine like, hey, there have been burglaries in the area, and they just assume the burglars came and were like going into the woodshed for like tools or whatever. Assume it was a burglary, and then these 2 were like hiding in the woodshed, and caught the burglars, and the burglars panicked and killed them and ran away. So they like don't look into it any further than that, and that's what they assume happened. That's the whole thing. I just realized my ring light is not on. Let me fix this. Oh, that's a bit much. There we go. That's a little better. Hey, you can see me now. Sorry about that. Anywho, so that's the cold case that happened. So flash forward again to today. Stevie and all her friends are in London, and they meet David's friend, Izzy. Izzy's aunt is one of the 9 who was there that night. And you come to find out that Aunt Angela has always been suspicious. She thinks one of her friends, she never thought it was a robbery gone wrong. She thinks one of her friends actually killed them, but she doesn't know who, she doesn't know why. And the reason she thinks that is because as soon as they arrived at the country estate and they were all like unpacking and stuff, Rosie came up to her and said, hey, like I saw something really weird. I can't wrap my mind around it. I'm kind of freaking out a little bit. Can we talk later? And she's like, yeah, what's this about? And she's like, well, I don't want to say anything because people might be around. So like that gives Angela the idea that she knows something or saw something or heard something about one of the other people. Now she has kept this to herself for years and years, and recently she had surgery, and Izzy, her niece, was over there helping her, like cooking for her, cleaning for her, taking care of her cat, etc. And while she was under the influence of, anesthesia and other pain meds, Angela said something about this thing. She's like, what did she say? She said, I don't remember. She said something in her like state, and Izzy was like, what are you talking about, Angela? And Angela's like, it was, Rosie died and it wasn't a burglary, and like says something. So Izzy's like, well, that's weird. And when Izzy brings it up again when she's in sober mind, Angela's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that was a robbery. That was, from 1995. Like, just get over it. Stop asking questions. But Izzy can't get over it because she has seen since then, for like now it's been like a couple of months since the surgery in that moment. And like she keeps trying to bring it up to Angela, and Angela's like, deny, deny, deny. But she's also been acting weird and like quieter than usual. So Izzy's like, something is up. Something's up. And so Izzy asks Stevie when she shows up to London, because David's like, hey, Izzy, my girlfriend Stevie's coming to visit. She's like this amazing, child prodigy detective. You should tell her like what you've been telling me about your Aunt Izzy and that crime from 1995. Izzy's like, oh my gosh, yes, I love it. Izzy, Stevie can help me. So they bring Stevie in on it, and all her friends, of course. All her friends are always there with her because that's a young adult novel. It's what happens. So they all go over to Aunt Angela's house, and Izzy's like, hey, this is my friend David from school and his girlfriend and their American friends. Like, I just want you to meet them. I wanted them to get to see, some interesting things about London that most tourists don't get to see. Like, under this guise of like, oh yeah, these are just some cool people. I thought they'd be nice to visit, blah, blah, blah. Well, they ask her about the murder in 1995, and she's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Stop. Just like, no, inappropriate. I don't know you, blah, blah, blah. She gets really upset. And then she kicks everybody out. And then, like, within hours of her kicking them out of her house, she goes missing, okay? They can't find her. Izzy is calling. Izzy is coming over. Pardon me. They can't find her. She has gone missing. So, Izzy... Izzy gets... No. I don't remember how, but somehow Izzy gets access to like her phone records and some other things, and she finds out that Aunt Angela texted the other friends from that weekend, the ones that aren't dead, like obviously not Rosie and Noel, but the others, because they've been keeping in touch all these years. They went their separate ways, but like they still get together occasionally for lunch or whatever and visit each other as much as they can, like send Christmas cards, etc. So Angela's still in touch with all of these people, but all this time she's been suspicious that one of them actually was involved with this murder, okay? Of the two. And so they find the records, and they realize that she texted all of her friends and was like, hey guys, you'll never believe it, I found the button, something something Rosie and Noel's murder. So, and then it was like within 20 minutes of that happening, Angela went dark. Like, no more text messages. She's not at home. Like, they see a video camera on the street of her leaving the house, and like she's gone, right? Like 20 minutes after her saying, I know something. I found the button or something about a button, okay? And so they're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Where's Angela? What happened? So they go start searching through Angela's house. They like literally like sift through her trash. They like look for everywhere, and they are able to find like a fire safe. They can't figure out how to open it, so they're racking their brain. And of course, Stevie figures out what the code is, because when they were at her house having a conversation with her, she said something about how she's obsessed with Henry VIII, and in particular Anne Boleyn is like her favorite. And the code to get into the safe was like Anne Boleyn's birthday, or the day Anne Boleyn's had her head cut off, or something. It had something to do with like Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII. I can't remember. It was 1066, I think. So if you know anything about Anne Boleyn and Henry VIII, what's the deal with 1068? Like, what's the importance of that? Anyway, so I need a slightly different color. I want to put a little purple. There's a little purple. Okay, anyway. So so she opens up the fire safe, and inside the fire safe is all kinds of information, old photos from when the 9 were young and in college, a newspaper article from the weekend Rosie and Noel died that said about this American girl, Stephanie something or other, who died in an accidental drowning that same weekend that Noel and Rosie died. And they're like, why does she have a news article about some rando American girl drowning that same weekend? But they know it's significant because she keeps it, and kinds of other things, like other questionable things that they're like sifting through it and they're figuring out, why does she have this? Why is she keeping it in a safe deposit box? What's this thing about a button? Blah, blah, blah. Well, because Izzy is so close with Aunt Angela and Aunt Angela is still so close with all of her old college friends, those old college friends are also friends with Izzy. Like, they know Izzy, right? And so Izzy contacts, sorry, I'm like all over the place. Izzy contacts all the others and is like, my Aunt Angela is missing. Can you guys help? And one of them has become like a government official. One of them is a doctor. One of them is the count or the lord or whatever. He's still around and he's still wealthy and has a lot of like connections. So they're like, we need your help to find Aunt Angela. And they all like band together and they're like, oh my gosh, yes, we're gonna find her. We love her. We need to find out what happened. So they all get together for a weekend at the mansion again, the country estate, because they want to talk. Stevie's like, can I talk to you all at once? Like, this is what I do. I really want to try to help. So they all get together at the country estate, and Stevie basically just observes and listens and tries to figure things out. And she slowly does. She starts putting the pieces together. And within like a day of hanging out with these people, Stevie figures out that they are all lying about something regarding that night. And it has to do with the woodshed that they found the dead bodies in. There's something up with that. She notices that there was like a little window at the top, too small for a person to crawl through. And when they first arrived, they took a picture in front of it and the window was closed. But then the police photos, the window was open. So she's like, something's up with that window. And what happened? And they confess, they're like, oh my gosh, like, how did nobody else notice that in all these years? Because as it turns out, the nine, well, specifically the Sebastian, the count, the one who owns the property, he was growing pot in that woodshed. And when they found the dead bodies, they were like, we can't let them see. Like, when the cops get here, they're going to find these pot plants, and he's going to be, because this was 1995, so he's like, I'm going to be arrested. I'm going to lose my title. My family's going to be disgraced. Like, we have to get these plants out of here. So they all worked together to, like, not mess up the crime scene because their friends legitimately were killed. And so they sneak all the pot plants out. I'm sorry. And they used that window to get the pot plants out, right? So Stevie figured that out and they confessed to it. They're like, yes, that's what happened. How's this? This is not super exciting. I want a little something more to go on in here. So let me get another eyeshadow palette and see. This is my Smoke and Roses one. I love this. Look at these colors. All these beautiful rosy colors. Aren't they nice? Okay, anyway. I digress. So she figures out the thing and they confess, like, okay, yeah, we had the pot plants and we had to get rid of it and like we know it was awful, but blah blah blah. So Stevie's like, all right, so that's an important detail, but there's still like, that still doesn't help me figure out where Angela is or who killed Rosie and Noel. But she's, one giant step closer, that they all fibbed about the night. Oh, and then also some of the flashbacks and the information that Stevie finds are transcripts of the interviews from that night where the police interviewed everybody. So you as the reader get to interview everybody. And she's like trying to figure out the timeline. And her one friend who's like super organized, Janelle helps her figure out the timeline of events and like, well, it can't be this person, it can't be that person, etc., etc. And I myself was following along. And let me tell ya, at this point, while I was like reading the thingies, I was able to narrow it down to two people. Okay, so we started out with we're good. Started out with the 9, right? And 2 of them are dead, so we're down to 7. And then Angela's missing, so we're down to 6. So there were the 6 people who were involved. So she starts trying to Stevie's trying to figure it out and like, you know, putting the timeline of events together. And she's like, stuff doesn't add up. It's like, I don't like, more people are lying than are admitting. So essentially she figures it out. I don't want to give you all the details, but I am going to spoil it. So if you want to read this book, now's the time to stop listening, because I'm going to tell you the end of the book and what happened and how all the pieces came together and who done it. Okay. So spoiler alert, it's coming. So, as it turns out, the girl, the random American girl, hold on, this is the random American girl who died, and she had the newspaper article. As it turns out, they all knew this girl, because this girl, Stephanie, I think her name was Stephanie or something similar to that. She knew these guys. They met in a bar, and she actually was like making out with a couple of them. She was a little promiscuous, I guess. I mean, it was college. So she had made out with a couple of the guys. And the one was like a player. He kissed everybody. But the other one actually really liked her and invited her over another night. It was like, hey, here's our address. Come hang out with us. I'd love to see you again. And so what happened was she was actually on her way to come hang out with this guy when one of the other guys happened to be walking home, and he just like, he also kind of liked her. He was irritable in general. Like, he was in a bad place at that time. And like, because now at this point in the book, you actually get a flashback from the murderer's point of view that tells you how it all went down. So he was like irritated about everybody and everything. He was like, oh, that guy, like, he's such a player, and like, he's so handsome and everybody loves him, but he's such a jerk and he uses everybody. And that guy, like, he's so much smarter than me and better than me, and I'm so jealous. And like, blah, blah, blah. Like, he was just like not a really good friend in his head. So he was all mad at everybody all the time. So this girl was coming over to visit. This American girl was coming over to visit. And the killer, should I just tell you? It was Peter, okay? Peter happened to just be walking around the area at the same time. And he bumps into her and was like, oh, hey, like, what are you doing? You coming over to hang out? And she's like, yeah. Yash gave me some CDs the other night and said I should come over and hang out. So I thought this would be a good time. I'm coming over to give back his CDs and visit him again. And he's like, oh, cool. Let's walk together. And as they were walking together, they were walking along the river. And I don't remember why or how, but they ended up in a boat somehow. I don't know if he was like, you know, we can get there faster with a boat, or I don't know. For whatever reason, they were like in a boat. And she fell into the river, okay? Anyway. Everything's fine. She fell into the river, okay? Like, total accident, or like, I don't know, something happened, and he did not intentionally kill her, okay? She fell in the river, but he did not save her. He just like watched her drown right beside the boat and didn't help her. And Rosie happened to also be outside at that time and saw it all go down. Actually, Rosie and Noel were outside. They were making out in the backyard. And they saw this girl fall in the river and drown, and Peter did absolutely nothing, okay? He did nothing. So Rosie and Noel were like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Did we really just see what we really just saw? Like, Noel just let that girl drown. So over the next couple of days, Rosie like tried to talk to him about it and was like, hey, like, what the heck? Like, I don't think she like calls him out, but she's like, hey, have you seen that Stephanie girl recently? Like, yeah, she said she was going to come over and visit. I haven't seen her in a while. Have you? And Peter figures out that Rosie knows. So flash forward to the murder weekend while they're all at the country estate playing hide and seek. He's like, Rosie, like, let me talk to you. Like, you keep asking me about Stephanie. I know something. Come in here into the woodshed. Let me talk to you in private. Well, when he gets her into the woodshed, he's like, look, I don't know what you think you saw. And she's like, this is what I saw. And I think, like, you need to turn yourself in. You need to say something. Like, this family needs closure. Like, you need to tell them that, you know, this is where she is and what happened to her, right? And so he's just like, I can't do that. I'm going to ruin my life. I'm going to end up in jail, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, it doesn't matter. You need to do the right thing. And so he loses his mind and he kills her. And then right before he kills her, she says something about how Noel also saw and also knows. So after he kills her, he finds Noel and is like, dude, come, I need to talk to you. Can you come in the woodshed again? And so he gets Noel in the woodshed and he kills Noel as well. So he basically kills them, his two friends, because he is like worried that they are going to tell on him when, like, dude, it's been like a week. If they haven't turned you in or said anything, they're probably not gonna. Like, relax. You don't have to kill your friends. But anyway, so he kills both of them. And he never tells anybody that this happened. He's like, oh, I was hiding the whole time, etc., etc. And then they're like, well, when did they find you? And so, like, basically he killed them and then he immediately went and hid again so that, you know, they were playing hide and seek. So it makes sense, right? Well, there's a lot more to the story and a lot more details that make it all make sense and make it a little more suspicious and interesting. I'm just giving you the main overview. So as it turns out, Peter did it. And so flash forward again today, and he did it to keep himself from getting in trouble for accidentally killing, or he didn't push her in. She fell in, but he didn't help her. So that would make him and again, like, I don't know, like, dude, if that's what happened, like, just tell them. Like, you're not gonna, anyway. So he kills his friends over that. And then he has to keep it secret forever. And none of the others genuinely knew what happened. So they were all basically telling the truth, except for the part about the pot plant. So they had to lie a little bit because they didn't want Sebastian to get in trouble for having pot plants, right? So they had to lie a little. So he was just like, I'm going to go with this. Like, they messed up the crime scene a little bit. I'm just going to go with it. And I'm going to let this bigger lie, you know, help me in the long run. And it did. So anyway, we flash forward to today, or like a couple of weeks ago, or whatever it was, when Angela disappeared. She texted everybody, I know about the button, or something about, I don't remember what she said, but something about the button. And now the button is not important at all. As it turns out, Angela like has some psychology background or something, and she was doing that on purpose, bringing up a button because she knew that, like, psychologically speaking, if there's somebody who's lying to you or keeping a secret from you and you say something that they know is wrong, it's like human nature to want to correct the person. So, like, let's say, you know, I was lying about something and then somebody comes to me and is like, oh, hey, like, you grew up in State College, right? And I'm going to be like, no, I didn't. I'm going to correct them. So I did not grow up in State College. So, like, I'm going to correct somebody from saying that. That's normal. It's normal human behavior. So Angela brought up the button specifically to lure the murderer into saying something like, what button? Like, there's nothing, a button doesn't have anything to do with it. And then that would be like her clue that it's, you know, something. Well, Peter is the one who messaged her and was like, hey, can we get together and talk? Like, I don't know what's going on with you, but like, can we get together and talk? So she did, at this point, she didn't think it was Peter. She was thinking like, maybe I can just like investigate, answer some questions or whatever, get some more intel. So she, meets up with Peter, and then Peter ends up killing her because Peter assumes she knows everything and was calling him out. But she didn't. That's the thing. She didn't think it was him. She didn't know who it was. She just knew it was somebody in the group and was trying to like gather intel from Peter. Peter was the only one who responded to the button thing, so she was like, maybe he can help me figure this out. But Peter killed her. And you find that out at the end. They find Angela's body. She was also in the river. And, but anyway. So Peter was the killer of all of them. And Stevie figured it out because, like, when they found Angela's body, they went through the bag that she had on her, and it had a toothbrush in it. And there was some mention of how Angela was visiting Peter and she forgot his toothbrush. And so she forgot her toothbrush. And so Peter gave her one, and she was the kind of person to always pay people back. So Stevie's like, it was Peter, because why else would would Angela have like gone to meet somebody? Like, she had the toothbrush, she was meeting Peter, she brought the toothbrush along to give it back to Peter because that's the kind of person she was. So that's how she figured out it was Peter, right? Does that make sense? I hope that made sense. So that's how it all came together. That was the end of the story. Stevie solved this murder mystery as well, and she did it in like 3 days this time. Like the first one, it took her like 6 months because I mean she was at school and she figured it out. Now in the first trilogy, it was the 3 stories, you know, and it took her the whole 3 books to solve it, but it was a 100-year-old mystery and she had like no information. Like there was nothing. So she's cool. She figured it out. And then anyway, she figured it out. I need to pause for a moment. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So she figured it out. So the first one she figured out, but she didn't have any evidence. But this one she had a lot of evidence because Angela had been like researching and collecting stuff. And but anyway, so yeah, that was how the story ends. Stevie figured it out. There were some other fun little subplots in there, like as seniors, they were all stressing about college applications, and so that was like a fun little side thing where they were talking about college and stuff. And then also there was the subplot of the romance. Like I said, sorry, I'm out of breath. I had to run and check on my son for something, so I ran downstairs and ran back up. Okay, so there was the subplot of the romance, right? She went to London because her boyfriend was a freshman doing a study abroad over there. So there was that fun element of romance and the teenage stuff. So one subplot was that she was suspicious of David and Izzy because they spent a lot of time together, right? And when her Aunt Angela was found to be dead, David, it was her last night in London, Stevie's last night in London, and she's like, I really want to hang out with you, David. Like, I've been so busy doing this stuff, all this stuff. We've hardly had any time to really hang out, and I haven't seen you in months, and I'm probably not going to see you again. But Aunt Angela was just pronounced dead, and David's like, I really need to spend time with Izzy. Like, she just lost her aunt. I'm going to stay with her. She needs somebody. And so Stevie was like, I mean, you're right, but was bummed out. So she thought he was cheating on her with Izzy. As it turns out, that was not true. They were not cheating. They legitimately were just friends. But at the very end of the book, David does break up with her. And he doesn't really give any reason. He's just like, I don't know, I can't do this. I don't think we're right for each other or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, we broke up. And Stevie's literally he breaks up with her like an hour before she's supposed to catch her flight home to America. Like, who does that? Like, at least let her have her nice flight home and then like text her and be like, hey, this was a nice visit, but I don't think I want to do this anymore. Like, come on, but whatever. So he broke up with her and like ruined the whole thing because now she was like flying high with like, oh, actually no. Anyway, I'm not gonna do whatever. So I didn't quite say it exactly how it went, but I don't need to give you all those specifics. So anyway, he breaks up with her. She's devastated. And she assumes it has to do with Izzy, but then she knows that it wasn't Izzy. I think I want some more dark. I think it's too purple on my eyes. I think I want to add a little bit of brown. But anyway, she asks Izzy, like, Izzy, do you have anything to do with this? Do you know? Blah, blah, blah. And Izzy's like, no, like, I like David, but not like that. Like, we're just friends. I'm not interested in a relationship with him. So, it's not that. So basically, we don't really know why they broke up, just that he didn't want to have anything. He didn't want to be with her anymore, blah, blah, blah. It's over. She's devastated. I think I do like that little touch of brown so that it's not all purple. I think so, yeah. And that's how the story ends. So I really loved it. I'm really proud of myself. I did not figure out it was Peter, but I did narrow it down to either Peter or Yash. So for a little bit, I thought it was Sebastian. But then when we were putting together, wait, listen to me. Like I was part of the story. When the characters were putting the timeline together and I was like paying close attention to it, I was able to rule out everybody else. Like Peter and Yash were the only ones who could have done it because of the timeline and like where they were and what time they think the murders happened. So I figured out it was either Peter or Yash. And I thought maybe Yash. And it had, because again, as soon as we figured out that the American girl had something to do with it, and that Yash and her were like sort of seeing each other, and Yash had invited her over, like I thought maybe it had something to do with him. But then I was like, if he liked her, why would he have killed her? And he wasn't interested in, Rosie. She wasn't like jealous that Rosie had rebuked him or something, like wouldn't go out with him. Let's see. I feel like it's quite purple, but I mean, I'm wearing a purple dress, so maybe I'll put a little sparkle. Should I put a little sparkle? I think I should put a little sparkle. Anywho, what color sparkle? Decisions. All right, I'm going to try this one. I hope it doesn't ruin things by getting too pink. Can you see it? Do we like it? I think I do. Anyway, back to the story. I narrowed it down to those two, and I didn't think it was Yash because if Yash was interested in this girl, why would he kill him? But then I was also like, but Peter had nothing to do with the girl. But I knew it was one of those two. So I was very proud of myself when Stevie figured it out and it turned out that it was, in fact, Peter. I was like, yeah, I knew it. I figured it out. I'm excited. I hope there is another book. I mean, if this is her 5th one in the Stevie Bell series, I don't see why she wouldn't continue with this series, right? How's that look? I hope it looks okay. I'm going to give myself a little more, crap. A little more than I wanted, but I guess that's okay. That's not too bad. What do you think? Anyway, yes, I hope there's more in the series. There's already 5, so I don't see why not. But this 9 Liars just came out like earlier this year. So it's probably going to be a while before anything else comes out just because, it takes a while to write novels. But she has several other series too. She has another one, the Shades of London series. And that one's really cool. That one's got a little bit of like a supernatural vibe. There's ghosts and stuff. And the narrator gets the chance or gets the ability to see ghosts and communicate with ghosts. So that's really cool. And then you find out there's like a secret society, and I don't know, it's really cool. I really liked it. I'm going to put a little more sparkle on. I'm going to do a little bit of highlighter. I don't usually do highlighter, but I'm going to a wine festival today and I want to look cute. So I'm going to look cute. And I just realized I did not contour my nose. So let me do that real quick. So that's the end of the book. I seriously, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I loved it. I wish I could read it again. I mean, I could read it again, but it won't be the same. So, yeah, I recommend it. And that's all I have to say about that. What do you think? Do you think it sounds interesting? Have you read any of Maureen Johnson's books? Let me know. What have you read of hers? Do you like them? I'd love to hear your feedback and your opinions. That's one of my favorite things, like I said. So comment down below what books of hers you read. You think you might want to read this one? Tell me what you think of Maureen, this book, 9 Liars. And yeah, tell me what you think. And my look. What do you think? I kind of like it. At first, it was a little too purpley, but I did add a little bit of like a brown. The purple still comes through, so I kind of like that. Yeah, and I love the little bit of sparkle. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera, but I like this sparkle. So yeah, there we are. I am going to go finish getting ready for my wine festival, wine tasting thing. I'm very excited about it. Maybe next time I do a book talk or books and looks video, I'll tell you all about it if I remember. I don't know. Maybe it'll be a while. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I very much appreciate all of you watching my videos. I know this was a longer one, so thank you for sticking with me. And I hope you have a fantastic everything. And as always, stay beautiful inside and out. Bye.